Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So this is going to be part two of the question Derek gap between 69 and 70th week Daniel. So if you go to the description below, there should be a couple PDFs. Link to PDFs that will open up off my Google Drive. So as you can see here, this is kind of like part one. This is really the main one, but I created a more of a simplified version because this one is so busy. So this one's labeled part two. So yeah, you're more than welcome to open up either and download if you like. You certainly have my permission. So you saw part one where it does not mean it does not mean that there's a gap just because uh, it mentioned about the seventh year. Um, uh, Basically, it talked about the seventh year after these events, after the sixth year. It does not mean there's a gap. So you could say after the sixth year, all these things are happening for 500 years. That does not push the seventh year back 500 years. That makes sense. So I'm going to go over this in a very simplified way. So Daniel 9:24. So these things are supposed to happen. Okay. So all three of these in the timeline says C across here. That's right here at the 70th week. So all these things happen right across. Alrighty. And then bring in everlasting righteousness, bullet number one, at the very day of Jesus baptized, at the first day of the 70th week. Alrighty, seal vision and prophecy, go bullet number two, it's right here. Okay, let's click on that quick. And when the seven thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the seven thunders uttered and write them not. So clear evidence that it was sealed. Right, the book of Revelation, the last book that was written, and John was saw the seven thunders and the voices, heard the voices. Don't write anything. So that is clear indication that the sealing took place. A lot of people believe that the book of Revelation was written in the 90s. I strongly recommend this book here, where it gives you the full evidence, both sides. Those who believe it's written in the 90s are not aware of the translation issue, even though the translators themselves said the text was often uncertain. You would think that if a translator going to make a statement like that, it's worth looking to. Okay, where are the issues here? What are the problems here? So you got all these scholars throughout history; they never even looked into it, and so they just it boiled down to a one word. It should be translated it or he. If it's it, then they'll be referring to the object, Book of Revelation, or it could be he, which would be John. Okay, and those who are experts in Greek translation, they said that it can go either way. Okay, and so if it's he, then it's John. If it's it, then it's Revelation. So I encourage you to look into that. So it's after looking into it exhaustively, I am absolutely convinced it was written before the temple was destroyed. So that places, and that's within the Jewish age. And remember Romans 3:2, where God entrusted the Jews his oracles. Okay, well, John was a Jew. He wrote the book of Revelation. God entrusted him with it. And so the Jewish age ended right at the destruction of the temple. That was it. So anyway, that's that. And to anoint the most holy, again, bullet number one right here. So you go to, um, you know, click on this here, Act 10:37-38. After the baptism which John preached, John the Baptist, even Jesus of Nazareth, how God anointed him. That was at Jesus' baptism, with power, went about doing good, okay, etc. So, um, yeah, so read that right in Matthew 3. You're where the Holy Spirit descended on him like a dove. Okay. So it's a timeline here. The first three of these six things are supposed to take place Daniel 9:24 right here. And then the fourth and sixth one right here. And then the fifth one is right here. Alrighty. So did this happen within those 7 years? No. Did it say it had to happen in those 7 years? It just says to seal vision and prophecy. Alrighty. It doesn't tell you anything about when. Alrighty. So we have to be careful about that, not superimpose it. But 5 of the 6 happened within the 70th week and just occurred later. Alrighty. And then verse 25. Okay. So here's Okay, so in a lot of translations, Messiah the Prince. Okay, so note therefore and understand that from going forth to command, restore, rebuild Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince. It's here. Okay, so everything here is about Messiah the Prince. It's not about Antichrist. It's not about anything else. All right, it's about Messiah the Prince. When you click on this here, so I found that the American Standard Version is the most literal translation of the Hebrew I found, and instead of Messiah the Prince, says Anointed One, the Prince. Okay, and notice it's lowercase. And then you go over here, people, the Prince, it's still lowercase. It's consistent, and that's the way it should be. If you're going to make this uppercase, you have to make this one uppercase well. If you're going to make this one lowercase, you have to make this one lowercase because it's the same, exact same Hebrew word that's being used there. Alrighty. And so the translator, when they, it capitalizes this one over here and then lowercase this one here, it causes confusion. And this is already, to most people, confusing passage to begin with. And then go for translator to go and take their own understanding and try to suddenly put it in there in the text. It really doesn't do any justice. So you go here, what I'm talking about here is 5057, ruler prince. Alrighty. The same Hebrew word there is what's used in both passages. Let's go back to this here. So the Hebrew word for prince there, it's the exact same one that's used there. Alrighty, it does no justice to try to make one capital and one lowercase. You're both still talking about Messiah the Prince or anointed prince. Alrighty. And then 62 weeks, and then the street should be built again, the wall even in troublesome times. Okay. Then we go to verse 26. And after 62 weeks, just telling you what happened after 62 weeks. Messiah. Okay. Same Greek word there is there. Okay. Or Hebrew. Sorry. The same one shall be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince. The same Hebrew word there is there. Exact same word. Alrighty, who to come shall destroy the city, that's Jerusalem, and the sanctuary, and then it should be with the flood. Now Jerusalem was destroyed. Okay, now the Jerusalem above is free, which is murder and fall, and that actually took place right here in the cross. Okay, when Jesus ascended. All right, from that point forward, um, and the Jerusalem that is on the ground, it's just a matter of time going to be destroyed. Alrighty, and so let's see here. The end of it should be a flood. Towards the end here, those are the last 6 months of destruction of the temple, the city and the temple. That was from April 70 AD to September 70 AD. Alrighty. Now we go on to verse 27, and we're still talking about Messiah the Prince, the subject here. Okay, that never changed. And he shall confirm a covenant made for 1 week. Now the word for there, if you go into Hebrew, is actually not in the Hebrew. Alrighty. So in other words, okay, let's go back there. So it's a period of 7 year, day 7. Okay, so this was pertinent to answering Daniel's prayer. Alrighty, so it was limited to just the Jewish people for this week. So the first 3.5 years was Christ's ministry, and then the last 3.5 years, the gospel went to the Jews. Alrighty, so they were experienced all these things. The the end of sin. So it doesn't make them no longer a sinner, but when the initial point of salvation, you have no desire to sin. Okay. Over time, yeah, that might go away, unfortunately. But from God's eyes, you are atoned for. Okay. So he doesn't see it. Alrighty. So, but in the middle of the week, right here, alrighty, he shall bring an end to sacrifice offering. So his sacrifice was the perfect sacrifice, so it brought an end to the old covenant order, sacrifice and offering. Okay, and on the wing of abominations, okay, shall be one who makes desolate. So the wing of abomination from here, from the point of the cross, all the way to the one who makes desolate. So these were the animal sacrifices that are considered abominations. You go back to Old Testament Jewish history, abomination considered both worship or profanity worship. So when you go and still doing the animal sacrifice, as they're somewhat pleasing to God, when the perfect sacrifice has already been made, you're rejecting the perfect sacrifice. Alrighty, so that's what it makes an abomination. And that brings it to the one who makes the desolate. So that was the man whose temple is God. They were worshiping uh, the man in the temple of God. Again, they deny Christ come in the flesh, which is which is also profanity worship, and that's you're going to get judgment. And that's what they got. So he came for them, but they rejected him, and they're worshiping somebody else. All right, and that's what these are about. And even till the consummation, which is right here, very end, which is determined to pour on the desolate. So we go here, Galatians 4:26. So the children of the desolate, alrighty. One that so for more are the children of desolate. So those who are on their way to die, being destroyed the temple, there are more of them that they're of the husband, that's Christ. Okay, that's what it's saying there. And the previous verse is 4:26, which is just right here. But the children blood for you is mother our mother. Okay, that's just right here. Previous verse. Alrighty. So so you had the children of desolate, okay, and those who were followers of Christ, they fled the mountain. They went to Perea and Pella, okay, and they finished that at the March of 70 AD, 1 month before the flood came. The flood, again, going back to here, again, should be flood, okay, until the consummation was determined, poured out in the desert. So that's exactly what I just said. You know, you got the desolate, it's poured out, got the flood. Okay. Um, so yeah, and then here, your back broken always, just referring to Old Covenant Israel. It will never come back. Okay, that was the end of it. That's a consummation. It was the last day of the Old Covenant order. Alrighty. So, so yeah. So again, the covenant talking about the covenant of Jesus. Um, right here, covenant was shed for many for the remission of sins. What's he's talking about? Go back to the end of the prayer. Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the Prince, was answering the end of prayer, and it had been answered. So hopefully that helps. So you can see there is no gap. It's just telling you what took place. This could be 500 years worth of material, like I said. It does not take verse 27, push it back 500 years. It's still on that 70th week. Alrighty? 70 weeks are determined. Bam to bam. Alright? Yeah, it does not get broken up. When you start turning this into Antichrist, putting in gas, you are turning the path into chopped liver. And you're going down a path that just you're then going down a path of imagination, and I've been down that path, and I'm glad I got out of it. So, and it's hard to get out. The deeper you go down that path, the more difficult it's going to get out. So, some point, the person just has to press reset button. I know I did. So, anyway, hopefully you find this helpful, and I'll see you in part 3.